thank you so much. I always get worried, man, when I walk out, there's going to be like fucking 2,000-3,000 empty seats. And it's nice to see people still here, you know, and knowing that like Peter Jackson doesn't follow me or something like that. So thanks for being here tonight. The highlight of the show for me thus far, until that moment, which I swear to God, I almost rolled a tear coming out, because I'm stoned. It's the only way to do it, kids. Prior to that, the highlight for me was I did the captain's panel yesterday. William Shatner directed a documentary that played on Epix. You can see, I think you see it on Epix whenever you want Epix HD. It's called The Captains. He sits down with everyone who was ever a captain on Star Trek or commanded one of the starships. And it was kind of neat. He's a fucking icon and shit. And I'm not the world's like biggest Trekkie or Trekker. You know, if you say Trekkie, they're like, "Fuck you." So I'm not either of those things and stuff. But you know, if somebody says, "Hey, do you want to moderate fucking William Shatner?" You're like, "Oh, I would really like to moderate William Shatner." And I joined him on the panel. It was so much fun. But in the midst of the panel, there arose a moment where me, one of the biggest Star Trek 4 fans on the planet, because I love whales, obviously, I was able to fucking rock William Shatner with the line, "Double dumbass on you." And it was fucking huge for me. He looked at me like, "Where have I heard that before?" So that was kind of neat, but coming out today was so much better. Anyway, we have so much to get to. I'll tell you what's going on backstage, and we might be able to use your help. Oh, we got a hand signaler. All right. How are you? Cocksucker. Let's rein it in. I know, there might be kids in the audience. Let's try this one. When Captain America throws his mighty shield. What is this? Like the fat guy's just jerking off again, man. Fuck the panel, I can do this all day. Right on, but well, let's get down to brass tacks and shit. You might be able to help us out. We have a little bit of a problem backstage. We brought a Blu-ray, 3 Blu-ray discs of Red Stage, one to play, 2 as backups. Thank you, but they don't have a Blu-ray player. So, what we all know though, thank God the Sony PlayStation does play a Blu-ray player, and I know a lot of people like me and Muse carry their video gaming systems with them whenever they go on trips. So if you have a Sony PlayStation or you can go access one right now, bring one over to the side stage right here. Let one of these fine red shirted folks know, and they'll give you access into a world of pleasures and delights backstage. That's where you go backstage, see Patrick Stewart with a mountain of fucking Scarface-like blow, you know? Got a chick over here who's like, "Let it be done, number 1. So, it won't be something for nothing. You bring one of those things so we can play a Blu-ray player, we'll let you backstage, you can hang with us, and we can actually watch the clip and stuff. So, well, let's work on that. But in the meantime, let's get to you guys. This is my favorite part of the fucking year. I honestly love Comic-Con. I think it's so fucking magical. I don't just say that because, like, you know, we're here. I say it because I'm 41. I'm going to be 41 in about 2 weeks or so. And whenever I come to... No, that's bad. I'm going to die soon. Or maybe that's why I'm cheering, like, he's closer to the fucking grave! Die, fat man. But it's, at 41, man, you shouldn't be able to come to a place like this necessarily and lose yourself. And I do, it's neat. You come here, and it's, I don't know about anybody else, but at 41 I come here, I fucking regenerate once a year, kind of like the 10th Doctor Who and shit. But at the end, I'm not like, I don't want to go. I'm like, I want to go back, let's keep doing it and shit, which I guess was his sentiment as well. But it's a huge thing for me. I like doing this. I kind of get to vibe on a larger crowd that I'm not used to dealing with and find out what you guys are thinking. So I got shit I'd like to talk about, but let's hear about what you guys want to talk about. I have no idea where the microphones are, but generally speaking, they're over here. Can we hit something? Are they? I can't really see. Can we hit them with a light over here? where they can just ask me questions. Oh, there you go. Right on, man. Illuminated and shit. Welcome, sir. You're going to be the first. Look at you. He looks like fucking Zod in the beginning. We need some hula hoops around him. We're going to put you in a mirror and shoot you into space, motherfucker. Why did you do it? No. Welcome, sir. Welcome. Thank you for being my first question on Comic-Con. Look, if you're one of those people who's going to come at me and punch, let me just save you the time. I'm a big fat loser and a piece of shit. Okay, so once that's out of the way, let's get to the real nitty-gritty. Ask your question.
First of all, you forgot about the 11th Doctor Who, which is me. And thank you. And my question is, you obviously talk about relationships a lot in your movies and shit, but I was just wondering, like, how you actually dealt with heartbreak and got over it in your own life.
Oh wow, it's been so long since I've really had to deal with true heartbreak. I mean, there's heartbreak like, oh, cop out. But, but generally speaking, like, I haven't had to deal with true heartbreak at all. Like, you know, I've been married for, it's going to be 13 years next year. Thank you very much. So, I don't, you know, the only heartbreak, and we get along very well and shit, and she's into nerdy things as well. We have 2 dogs. One of them's at death's door and shit, like right now. Beautiful dog that was kind of the glue of our relationship. Both of the dogs are named Scully and Mulder, so we're kind of geeky. And we enjoy geeky things together and whatnot. But most importantly, we enjoy fucking one another. And I mean, I enjoy fucking her, and she tells me she enjoys fucking me. And for the first few years, I used to matter, and now I'm like, honestly, I don't care. Like, you say it, and if you're lying, so be it. But I know I love fucking you, so I ain't going anywhere. So we don't really have heartbreak. The only heartbreak I have now is just if I'm like, you want to do it? And she's like, no, I'm tired. I'm like, oh, God. How can I go on? You know, and then I go use a fleshlight and we're finished. So
what you're saying is I should get a fleshlight.
Oh, hands down. Yeah. You don't even need to hear that story for me to tell you, get a fucking fleshlight. Look at all the chicks in this room. Every one of these ladies, they have maybe lie to you, every one of them has a fucking vibrator. They have your replacement standing by. You get yourself a fleshlight and get 2. You'll never need a woman again. They love hearing that too. Tell them all the time.
Really?
Not at all.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Right on, man. Yes, excellent cap, sir. Excellent cap.
Just so you know, you're one of the top 10 people I've always wanted to meet. You're one of the best directors I've ever seen.
You haven't seen many, right?
Actually, you're the only
How do I say this politely? You're one of the nicest, greatest directors on the stage this moment.
Okay, but what I wanted to ask is, what do you like doing more, directing films or your podcasts?
Podcasting. Right now, podcasting has kind of superseded the filmmaking, and we've been slowly kind of building this little podcasting concern, if you will, over the last few years. Started with me and Scott Mosier doing Smodcast. And it's been, thank you. And that was fun, and it grew to a whole bunch of other shows like Brian and Walt doing Tell 'em Steve, Dave, me and Ralph Garman doing Hollywood Babylon, Garmy Strong, me and Jay Muse doing Jay and Silent Bob. Get back to the mic, I'm not done with you. Doing Jay and Silent Bob Get Old. We did like Red State of the Union podcast. Like slowly we kind of built Smodcast.com into this little podcast network, and at one point I was doing a different podcast every day, and I think it was Scott Mosier. It was like, dude, you're doing daily anyway, you might as well become a radio station. I was like, right on. So it became Smodcast Internet Radio, and every morning from 8 till 12 Pacific Coast time, I sit there and do morning radio. Now we've been doing it for like 2 months straight. Me and my wife Jen do a show called Plus One Per Diem every morning at 8 a.m. And thank you. And me and Jay Muse do a show called Jay and Silent Bob Get Jobs from 10 till 12 every day. And it's been fucking so much fun. Like, fun in the way that Clerks was fun to make, fun in the way that Chasing Amy was fun to make. All the movies that were fun to make where nobody gave a shit. That's what you gotta do. You gotta find the shit, the nooks and crannies nobody gives a shit about. You know, it's when people are looking and they have expectations, you gotta deliver, and fuck that noise. You know, you gotta find something where the bar is low. I've said it many times, and my idea of success is most people kind of shoot the high bar. I take the bar and put it like right here. your game, you know? So basically you play the field and figure out how to do shit. And working on the podcast has been a real sheer delight for me. Totally rejuvenates the batteries. Obviously I can talk quite a bit, and I've been kind of pushing myself to see how much I can generate, and it's opened up all sorts of fucking doors. So, you know, people are like, oh, he's giving up on film. I've done it for nearly 20 years. This August is going to be the 20th anniversary of the moment that I sat in the Angelica Film Center in New York and I saw Richard Linklater's film Slacker. And I saw that flick and I was like, oh my God, if this counts as filmmaking, I want to be a filmmaker, you know? And not in an insulting way, it was just, it seemed doable. You know, I'd grown up watching movies like fucking Jaws and Star Wars. That shit didn't seem doable at all. Don't fucking clap. I mean, it's wonderful stuff, but like that's outside of the realm of my ability. And when I saw Slacker, I was like, oh my God, I think I can pull this off and shit like that. I think that'll work. And that was 20 years ago, and suddenly now I've been doing films for 20 years, and it's great, but it's not my first language. Talking, obviously speaking, that's my first language. Visually speaking, I'm kind of inept, and it's taken me about 20 years to develop my talents as a filmmaker and stuff, and y'all got to see me go to film school in front of you for almost 2 decades, but after all that time, now I'm ready to kind of put that medium to the side. I got one movie left, this hockey movie called Hit Somebody. And in that flick, thank you, and in that flick, that's going to be me putting everything I learned in the last 2 decades into one flick, like a thesis film of sorts. And then when I'm done with that, I just want to step away from making films because I think at the end of the day it would be diminishing returns. I don't think anything I did after that would ever be quite so good. And I've been doing it for 2 decades, and it's time to step back, let some young fucker take the money and make something cool and whatnot, instead of I'm like, guess what happens to Jay and Bob this week? You know, so you step aside and make room for the youth. When I was a kid, somebody had to step aside for me. There's only so much money to go around in the business, right? So when they were like, here, go make your Mallrats picture, that meant some better filmmaker than me didn't get to make their picture or something like that. And so the older you get, the more you realize that sort of thing. And I've done it a lot, and it's fun, and I've enjoyed making films and whatnot, but you almost want to step aside and make way for the future, because they make the really interesting movies. You know, that's where kind of cool, fun stories come from. And I'm not a born-to-be filmmaker like, you know, fucking Clint Eastwood or Steven Spielberg or any of the, or Martin Scorsese, any of those cats. It was just something I thought would be cool and doable because I saw Slacker and then it worked. And the beautiful thing is it kicked open all these other doors where I could try shit out. And the thing that I've been enjoying lately is just chasing whimsies. It sounds really dumb, but it's so fucking good. For years and years, you know, I always thought about my career, tried to manage it and shit like that. And just like, while I was making one movie, I never really concentrated on it because I was trying to set up the next movie. Because that's how it works. If you want to keep going in that business, you always got to keep a foot in the door, even while you're working on something. Because we never had huge success. Like if you're Chris Nolan, you can just walk into fucking Warner Bros. And be like, I'm going to shoot 90 minutes just on my cock from here. And they're going to call that shit Inception 2. Fucking put it in theaters, you know, and they'd be like, it'll work, I bet you it'll work, you know. Because he's had proven box office track record. Me, I don't have. I got a decent track record, but not enough where people are like, oh man, he's fucking, we'll give him anything he wants. So you always have to kind of sing for your supper a little bit. For me, I kind of feel like I've done it, I'm happy, I've been very, very happy doing it, but I don't think I need to do it anymore. And I don't think I really should. Step aside, let somebody else do it. But I'm like, what do I do next? Because, you know, I like being up there and being up in front and center and talking about shit and sharing ideas and whatnot. And the podcast just took away from film because there's an immediacy to the podcast. Like Red State was a story I wanted to share with you 4 years ago. It took me 4 years to find the money, the actors, the time, for everything to align for me to share that story. Now, if I wanted to do it as a podcast, I would have sat down, recorded it, put it up on the website, you would have heard it, we would have been done with that shit 4 years ago. Wouldn't have cost any money, really, either, just the time to sit in front of the mic. So for me, I'm like, that's, for a storyteller, a guy who's not necessarily like a movie maker or filmmaker, but more of a storyteller, that's more appealing because I can just sit there and inexpensively produce content all day long. And the movie that you make in your head when I tell you a story is way better looking than any